Hey everyone, and welcome to Once Upon a Time at the Oscars.
The show that takes you through every Best Picture nominee from 1927 to today.
I'm your host, Kyle.
I'm Ryan. I almost faltered a little bit. Did you hear me kind of wave on 1927?
Oh no, is that what it was? It was on that?
It was like 1920.
I looked over at your face and I saw you get ready to bust laughing.
Well, the problem is that you've gotten very good about starting to record. It used to be like, hey, we're going to record. Let's give it 10 seconds.
And then
I'd
I'd clap.
Yeah. But now it's kind of right into it. So I have to compose myself.
I got to keep you on your toes, man.
Well, I appreciate that.
You know, sometimes you got to do a little method acting to get things going well.
Well, it's... Nailed it. Sometimes you have to pretend that something's happening that it isn't in order to get the performance out of someone that you want.
Exactly.
And
bring the chaos.
What better way to introduce a movie like Skippy than that? That's fans. That's a little Easter egg that'll come back and we'll reference in 30 minutes from now.
And will haunt you for the rest of your days.
And you'll be like, oh, I get that, but never tell me anything like that ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some good stuff coming for you.
Good stuff.
But today we're talking about Skippy.
Skippy.
Our fourth.
Nailed it.
Well, I mean, depending on the release day, because, that was all over the place, too. Our fourth entry in our 1931 Oscar coverage. So, how many times have you seen Skippy previously? Because you did this for the previous iteration.
Right. We're still in that territory. So, I've seen it one time before this viewing. This was my second.
And this is your second. So, I watched it through YouTube. Was that how you watched it both times?
Not through... I couldn't tell you the first time, but it was...
The first time you saw it in theaters, because that was 1931, right?
Right. I was catching a re-release, so I think it was 32, but pretty close.
Of course, yes.
Very popular in the 30s. No, it's on the internet somewhere.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it. Well, I asked because the first thing I want to go off the rip is that I watched this online because that's one of the only places that, you can see this movie right now. Mm-hmm. And it was missing the last 10 to 15 minutes.
Fascinating.
So it just kind of cut off. And when I was talking to you about this, I thought this was similar to East Lynne in that sense, but it didn't have the attached, a separate version of the end of the movie attached. But when I talked with you about it, you're like, oh no, I finished it. So I think there's just a cut that I saw that for some reason did not include the last 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, you must have just had a bad upload or something.
Which, regular listeners of the podcast will know I'm just cursed in that sense.
This is true.
So,
I forgot to tell you. When I was on set the other day, my buddy Damien was talking about how he was trying to follow along with the podcast.
Yeah.
Started with Seventh Heaven. First thing he said to me was like, hey, where did you watch Seventh Heaven? And what music was playing? And I was like, oh boy.
Did he watch and then listen or listen and then watch?
He actually hasn't listened yet.
Okay.
Thanks for your support, Damien.
Yeah, appreciate you, Damien. It's all for you, Damien.
Yeah.
Nice little Omen reference for you. Yes, so Damien, that happens to the best of us, my friend.
And the worst.
Don't trust Tubi.
Yeah.
Especially with silent films, don't trust Tubi.
But apparently don't trust YouTube either?
Well, I mean, just don't trust the internet, which, we're the first and only podcast to ever say that, so we're brave enough. Don't trust the internet with that. It happens, especially when we talk about the older media. It's just not always going to be possible to have the perfect version of all of these, whether it be in quality or the length of it in terms of what's included. But we'll talk about the ending here, and maybe in real time I can learn about what happens, and we can see if that changes my thoughts on the movie.
You never ended up seeing the ending?
I looked. I couldn't find it.
You missed the best part.
What?
You missed the best part.
Are you kidding me?
Not even plot-wise, just a visual gag that it had me laugh out loud harder than any movie I've seen all year.
Oh, no. Great, and we'll talk through it here in real time. Why don't you talk through the amount of nominations that this film had acquired?
Totally. So this was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including Best Actor for Jackie Cooper. Little Jackie Cooper.
That was his name.
Yeah, little Jackie
Cooper.
Until he was big Jackie Cooper.
Right, until he aged out of it, and then he was just Bow Wow.
Roll bounce. Best Directing for Norman Taurog. Best Writing Adaptation for Joseph L. Mankiewicz and Sam Mintz. And, of course, Outstanding Production for... Is this Paramount?
It
yes.
is.
Paramount Pictures.
For Best Writing, I also have Percy Crosby here. Is that because Percy Crosby wrote the comic strip it was based on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is based on a comic strip. Just throwing that out there.
Which is kind of a big deal.
It is, especially like an Oscar-nominated film based on a comic strip is, and not just like a graphic novel or a comic series, a comic strip in newspapers.
Yeah. And obviously, superhero movies, which ultimately are comic book movies, like those are huge. We all know this. Yeah. They're the number one money-making thing in the world for the past 20, 25 years. So it's interesting to go back and see, oh yeah, that all started with this little kid, little Skippy.
Do you think that there was audiences in 1931 that were like, I am sick and tired of these comic strip based films?
I wonder how many people like open the newspaper to read their daily dose of Skippy.
Yeah.
And then a movie comes out and they're like, no way. My favorite comic character.
That's my guy.
Yeah, like I love Skippy.
I was thinking more the people who have superhero fatigue now.
Yeah, they just have Skippy fatigue.
Skippy fatigue, yeah, which, I think I may have.
It's pretty easy to get.
We'll get there. So this film, as you mentioned, nominated for Best Actor was Lil Jackie Cooper, who plays Skippy Skinner. I do want to take a minute to say that I want to know who's in charge of naming names. Because obviously this is based on the comic book strip, or comic strip, sorry. So the writers of this film did not determine a name. Skippy Skinner is just, we'll come back to it. You have Robert Coogan as Sookie, Mitzi Green.
Sookie.
Yeah, just, okay. We'll talk about Sookie too. Mitzi Green as Eloise, Jackie Searle as Sydney, Willard Robertson as Dr. Herbert Skinner, and Enid Bennett as Mrs. Skinner. So for the longest time, I was under the impression that Sookie was definitely a little girl. So I was very confused in this movie whenever they'd be like, hey, what's he doing in the street? And I was like, sir, have some respect.
Right.
This little child with the bangs that are going across their face, knowing that it's not just a phase, is clearly a little girl.
Kid's like, where are you?
Yeah, exactly. And then I looked it up and I was like, Robert Coogan?
Yeah.
Sookie. So very confused about this. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the story?
So here, I mean, this is basically your Little Rascals, Dennis the Menace. It's a little boy named Skippy who's just kind of living his best life. He's getting into trouble. He's hanging out with his friends in the neighborhood. There's not the heaviest plot. The first half of the movie is him just kind of doing whatever. The second half of the plot goes off the rails in a traumatic way. It's so bizarre what it turns into. But all in all, it really is just watch these kids have fun.
I would almost call it like a slice of life. Like it really is just kind of like a day, or rather 3 days in the life of a little boy.
Yeah.
I will say off the jump that I very much enjoyed the manic nature of Skippy because the movie itself, I think, tries to show like an ideal suburban lifestyle.
Right.
And then the little crazy child that happens to be living among all of it.
Yeah.
I think, like, for me, it's funny because the character is very much like what John Hughes did with Home Alone, which is like you kind of put like a child in the middle of the movie, but he happens to be like a 40-year-old grifter.
Right.
Like he's very much not his age. And that's kind of this movie too. Like even the opening scene, which I do really enjoy, is of his parents trying to get him downstairs. And you hear him getting ready, but it actually zooms into his room and he's just sleeping and having a full conversation, or, resting and having a full conversation about like, do these pants look right? What about this time, Ma? Like while he's laying in bed with his eyes closed.
Just immediately like a little swindler.
Yes, exactly. And I thought it was very funny that he would behave that way for his mother. Mm-hmm. As soon as his dad's like, Skippy! He's like, oh God.
Yeah.
I'm on my
feet.
Hops
out of bed. And then he's in the bathroom brushing his teeth and stuff, just complaining. Well, not brushing his teeth.
Correct.
He's just a little menace. The little Dennis the Menace kind of.
And, he is a menace, but it really is just like, it's not even like, he's not proud of what he's doing, right? Like at no point is he like, yeah, I was lying to you. Like he's just hoping he can get away with it. So it's not even like a menace thing. It's just more like, I kind of took it as like, he's lazy. He's kind of like that grifter. Like, I don't know. This kid was very interesting. And I did like that performance from him.
Yeah.
I also thought in the first 15 minutes of the movie that it might be a bottle episode. and the entire thing take place from the kitchen or the dining room. And I thought it was just kind of like a camera, like a Disraeli camera go here kind of thing.
Right.
And it just stays there. So imagine my surprise when, to your point, it just turns into a Little Rascals movie. And now it is just like these kids getting into shenanigans, things being a little darker than you would suspect they would be in a movie like this. But also I want to say at the top of this, that this is kind of, regardless of, let's take quality out of it, this is one of the stranger movies that I think we've covered for the Academy Awards.
Yeah, I would say
not in the
so.
sense of the movie itself is strange, but its placement in this category of Best Picture.
Right.
We haven't really seen a movie like this up till now.
No, this is kind of, well, you can't even say a straight comedy because of the twist later on in the movie. But a lot of it is kind of just almost like a Three Stooges type comedy.
Yes.
At points.
Yes. Very slapstick.
Yeah. It's a fun movie.
It is. And, it's not the first time we've seen a comedy in the nominations for Best Picture.
Sure.
The Divorcee, the Love Parade, like we've been here. But, we've been there with comedy. In this sense, it really is more like a family comedy.
Yeah.
And not like an adult comedy.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mentioned in my Letterboxd review that this feels like Saturday morning cartoons in a way.
Yeah.
Except for that point that we'll talk about later.
It almost to me feels like there's one thing that this movie hinges on to be considered like the Oscar nominated film, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
But the movie itself as like totality, watching it, I was like, this was nominated for Best Picture. Not to say it's a terrible movie. I'm not going that far at all. It's just so out of place.
Yeah.
And I would even say up to today's standards of 2026, you don't see movies like this nominated for Best Picture.
No, this would be like almost like a Disney Channel original movie getting nominated.
See, that's exactly what it is. Because now the standards are like, well, that's just Disney Channel original movie. Like it's on TV that you can watch this. And that's what this feels like. This feels like, well, how was this not like on ABC on like 8 p.m. on Friday nights?
It feels like an Even Stevens episode or something like that.
Totally.
Which is super relevant.
And
well,
you guys know Even Stevens, right? But we talked about East Lynne and The Front Page and Cimarron in that order of interest for me. And those movies are so much more what the Academy would deem as like, this is the standard of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that we landed on Skippy.
Even what they're adapted from, Cimarron is from a novel. The Front Page is based on
The play.
The play, right? What was the other one? East Lynne, also a book.
Yeah.
So,
And now a comic strip.
Exactly. Just the comparison there through modernize, book, mature, comic,
Yeah.
But I'm totally okay with this popping up. It adds a little variety. I honestly think the performance by Jackie Cooper is on par with a lot of the nominations I've seen, not just this year, but kind of through the run of the show so far.
No, I mean, and you're right. Like, I think you've just revealed the secret to all of this. The thing that's keeping this movie in its place is the performance that they get from Jackie Cooper as Skippy. 9 years old. 9 years old, and he's giving this performance. He is the youngest nominee for Best Actor at 9 years old. Now, not the youngest nominee at 9 years old. The youngest nominee for Best Actor. Because I did see there was an actor who was, I think, 7 that was nominated for like Best Supporting. Or maybe even younger. But Best Actor, the youngest nomination we've seen is 9 years old. So some crazy history with this too.
Yeah, this is a big deal. We talk about a lot like these early years of the Oscars. You're getting a lot of these record setters, which makes sense. It's the beginning of this whole fiasco that we're going through. Welcome to Once Upon a Time at the Oscars. But he held this forever because, like you said, he still holds it, right?
Okay, I was making sure. I was like, okay, so there's a Squidbillies joke where he says, like, how long am I going to be blind? He's like, about 4 ever. So when you said 4 and paused ever so slightly, I was like, oh no, was I wrong? Was it not? Did he not still hold this title? He does. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
I feel much better about myself now and my history and research that I did. And there's a reason he was nominated, right? Like he is doing an incredible job in this movie. I mean, there's some moments where he is required to get emotional about some things. And it doesn't just feel like, okay, cool, this kid's crying. Like, you can actually feel heartbreak in this kid and the sense of responsibility. The other side of this, too, is that he has to act alongside some adults.
Yeah.
And along with kids, fine. But in 1995, whatever it was for Home Alone, it makes sense that like you see that performance from Macaulay Culkin. And of course, it's a notable performance at that point, too. You're just like, it puts him on the map. For him acting like, I'm going to keep that up, the 40-year-old grifter in like a 10-year-old's body. That's what Jackie Cooper is doing here. Like even the way he dresses is just kind of like Joe Pesci was incredible in Skippy as Skippy.
It's the way he carries himself in that outfit as well. Like his hands in his pocket and the way he's kind of strolling around. He is. There's something very like vaudevillian about his performance. Very gangster.
He's given Nick Scarcy in this movie is what he's doing.
He really is. The way he can, like, it's cool that he's acting amongst other adults because you get to see how he can hold his own. But then it's also, and this is kind of mean, it's nice seeing him act amongst other children as well because you can really see how this kid excels in his craft. Yeah, it's everything. It's his mannerisms. It's the way he talks and delivers his lines. He's genuinely funny in this movie.
He is. He is really, really funny in this. One thing that I really enjoyed was, again, this is the adult behavior in like a 9-year-old character, but another character, Eloise, whenever she appears, she will yodel. And she'll yodel off screen, in screen, or into screen. And my favorite part of this is that you'll see the mom, when she hears this, be like, oh, who's that? But Skippy's face is like, not this thing again.
Right.
Like his fingers are on the bridge of his nose, and he's just like, oh, my day. And it's so funny to see this kid act that way towards another child. And that's kind of the way he, like, I'm above these people. But It's funny because I think he feels that way about adults too. But he knows that that's like the food chain.
Right.
Is he can't just like outwardly be that way. He has to kind of talk his way around it a little bit. So what if I did get my bank though? Like where would my bank be that I could find? Well, you say I can't go over the tracks into this other part of town, but he didn't say anything about under the tracks if I go through the sewer system.
Yes.
Like some insane, like he's not just pardon the... Oh, what is it? I guess it was Dennis the Menace. No, it was Leave It to Beaver. The Eddie Haskell of it all. Of like, trying to suck up to the parents and then doing one thing outside of it. He really is kind of like to their face. More like, yeah, but I got you on a technicality.
Right.
Like, and I thought that was kind of an interesting level for this performance too.
Yeah, he's like a little con man.
He is a little con. That's exactly what it is. He's a con man. I really enjoyed that from him here. And that's not to say that, like, the other kids, Suki, Eloise's brother, I think.
Sydney?
Is that Sydney?
Is that what it... I don't know, the whiny...
Oh, yeah, Jackie Searle. Yeah.
Who, let me just tell you, had one of my favorite lines in the whole movie when Skippy just got in trouble at home and now he's walking to wherever he's going with Sydney.
Yeah.
And Sydney says, at my house, I can get away with just about anything. On account of I'm nervous and high strung.
That's is that towards the beginning?
Yeah,
when he first leaves the house. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's funny. That's genuine comedy, and
it's good writing. Yeah, is what it is. Like, because that does feel like an adult wrote that for a child, and not just a child came up with it.
Right.
High strung.
Oh, I wish he came up with that.
That'd be so good. Yeah. So his dad is a doctor, so there's a self-seriousness in the house. And his mom is more the free spirit, or at least free spirit adjacent. She's not doing the crazy things that Skippy is doing in this movie.
Right.
But you can sense that she's a little bit more flexible with like letting it happen. Like she knows boys will be boys. Like you just let it happen. The dad is pretty strict.
Yeah. She probably doesn't yell as loud and as simple as that.
I mean, the opening scene is clear for that, right? She'll just have the conversation with him and hope he's getting ready. But the dad's like, I know he's just in bed right now.
Right.
We have to yell at this kid. So he strikes up a friendship with Suki, who he finds on the other side of town, on the other side of the tracks, in a not as wealthy neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he finds Suki and these kids, gets pretty close with Suki, and the idea of like having like one thing I liked about this was that it was never a, hey, you're my friend. It was more like, I need a sidekick.
Yeah.
Like, you want to just be my sidekick for a little bit?
Listen, kid, I'm going to take you under my wing.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And from there, hijinks ensue. Dogs are lost. Money is raised to pick up the dog from the dog catcher. I mean, this is... You said Little Rascals earlier. This is Little Rascals.
Yeah.
The idea of putting on a talent show so you can raise money to pay the dog catcher to release your dog from the pound. Like, this is Little Rascals.
Yeah.
But I mean,
100%.
At a time before Little Rascals were prominently in the spotlight.
Yeah, and you bring up the dog thing, and that's kind of the shift that this movie takes, because up to that point, everything is all fun and games. The meeting with Sookie, it's like Sookie's about to get bullied by these kids, and Skippy jumps in, and he's like, all right, someone fight Sookie. And if Sookie wins, then they're part of the crew. And it's like this little fight club that they've got going on. And Skippy ends up defending Sookie, and that's when they become friends. But it's all done in like for laughs and cheers and haha. But that dog thing.
Yeah.
So Sookie finds a stray dog, and ends up saying, this is my dog. Dog catcher shows up after the two are blamed for breaking the dog catcher's car window,
Correct.
The windshield. So he goes and he kidnaps the dog because he's the dog catcher, and he says, hey, you've got 3 days to pay $3. Then I'll give you the paperwork for the dog and you're good to go. After 3 days, I'm going to kill the dog.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where I feel like you could leave this in your Disney Channel original movie, and it would be like, oh, wow, that's really heavy.
Yes.
But they're definitely going to get this dog out.
Correct. And the adult will say this, and the third day will come, and he'll be like, well, he's not available. And they're like, oh, no, you killed the dog. He's like, well, not really. I just pulled him aside, so he's available tomorrow.
Right.
Or something like that,
He's at the groomer. That's why he's
Correct.
not available.
Yeah, 100%.
And then he shows up with a bow and, a whole blowout, and he's looking glam.
Right. And it's never to a point where when he's saying this that you think, oh, this dog catcher is like really bad news and this is going to be terrible for the kids. This just is fitting the bill. Like there is the adult that's like, hey, I'm very self-serious and you got to do this, kid. And he's like, yeah, whatever. We'll raise the money and we'll get the dog. It's fine.
Yeah, this is the moment where if you were watching this on a Saturday morning with your kid, the kid would turn to you and be like, is the dog going to be okay? And you would say, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sure, kid.
It'll be completely.
In a movie called Skippy, yeah, the dog's going to be
100%.
Okay. Yeah.
Fast forward.
They raise the money.
Right, which is a lot of fun.
Yes.
All of the different ways they're raising money is a lot of fun.
I do have some questions. There's a moment where when they first hear they need $3.
Yes.
They're like, okay, well, we need to go to the bank. We need to go to my bank because I've been raising money. No problem. Skippy says, I got the money.
Piggy bank, by the way.
Bank.
Yeah.
I have a little piggy bank where I can, but it's like an actual safe. Did you catch that?
Well,
it was like a piggy bank.
Kind of looks like the Hellraiser cube, which is interesting.
Which makes sense why the movie turns the way it does.
Wow, that's a good point.
Replaced by Pinhead.
Such sights to show you.
God, that'd be such a better movie. So, Skip Razor is we'll call it moving forward. Yep, you were drinking. I did that.
Don't do.
You're so welcome. So he ends up going to his house and he ends up getting his piggy bank, and he can't get it open. So he just takes it with him and they just shatter it in the street and they collect money from it and move forward. Now, he says, I've been saving up money for a bike. So instead of getting a bike, I'm just going to give you the $3 so we can, get this dog.
Yeah.
They bring the money in and they pay this guy. And he's like, cool, I'll take those $3 for my windshield. But you need to give me another $3 for the dog now.
Yeah.
Because you should have paid me for the windshield and shouldn't have broken it.
Which, crazy that they cost the same amount of money.
I agree. And, that's one question that I had. The other question that I have is, how much was a bike back then? Because
bike, dog, windshield.
All $3. Because if that's true and he was saving up for a bike and had $3 for the bike, fine. I'm going to say that it was maybe like $6. So when he's like, oh man, we need another $3. I don't have that. I was like, what about that money you left on the street? Like, you took as much as you needed.
Yeah.
And then left. Like, there's just money in the street. I feel like you could have gotten $3 very easily. And I understand. This is 1931. This is not 2026 where you can just find $3 or how much is a bike.
Right.
But assuming that a bike is more than $3, which I think is fair in 1931. But again, I don't know how much a windshield costs. I don't know how much a dog would cost to save them from the dog, or like a license. It's not even to get the dog back. It's the license for the dog.
Right.
Right. So then they can say, well, I fully own the dog. Great. Give them to me. So I was just a little concerned whenever they were going through the money situation. And then, of course, when they had the talent show to raise the rest of the $3 after they've paid the dog catcher for the windshield, that I was like, well, how much are you paying these kids per head? Like, is this making $3?
Right. They built a ticket booth.
You built a ticket booth. You built a stage. You've hired an orchestra.
I'm like who built this?
And I get that that's all of that. All of that is a reference to like how outlandish this is of like a comic strip and like it's a kid's thing.
Right.
But it lends itself to what you're saying, where you're in the whimsy and it's very like people will come out and dance, and specifically Sookie will come out, and whenever that happens, they start throwing tomatoes.
Yes.
And to a point, and this is my favorite scene in the movie, when they send Sookie out there to dance, and you can see, I think it's Sydney, Eloise's brother. You can see him winding his hand back to throw a tomato, and instead, Skippy opens the curtain and just, I mean, like, pelts this kid. Like, it is a cannon, like a kaboom.
So hard.
Throws a tomato straight in his face.
Like, this was a solid tomato.
This is what kills me. Back then, poor choice of words for what's to come, but the thing that absolutely destroys me in this movie is that you could say, yeah, okay, he's supposed to be tomatoed, but instead you just see him standing there with stuff on his face. You can see the shot where this little kid just gets a tomato thrown in his face.
Yes.
And it bursts like a water balloon. And you could see like remnants of the tomato on his face.
You can see on his face, like, there's pain there.
The impact.
Yes. He recoils.
It's really great because you keep saying to yourself, like, especially in 2026 standards, hey, this is really cool. How did you end up getting this performance from this kid about him getting hit in a tomato? Great question. We pelted him with a tomato.
Yeah. You hear like the propeller wind up and it's like, that's how.
We did it. And granted, that's not like, it could be actual abuse, but like the kid's not getting like hit or like spanked or like abused in a way. So I guess it's not that bad, but I was laughing extremely hard just at the idea of like, because it's one thing to see a tomato like lob its way onto stage and kind of hit like Sookie a little bit. Yeah. This was a straight up like right down the middle, bridge of your nose, like tomato, bam.
Yeah, I feel like if Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton saw this scene, they were like, oh my God.
Did you hit that kid with a tomato?
That's harder than I've ever taken a pie to the face.
How ripe was that tomato?
Not ripe, but
there's a lot of questions. And as we'll mention later, some questions often on screen about what should have been done for the performances for these kids.
Yeah.
And we'll get there. But of course, all that whimsy leads itself to, hey, we have the money. Let's go get the dog. And please continue what happens.
So they finally get the money. There was a lemonade stand. That scene, I really like that too. The one lemon in the giant tub of water. But they finally get the money and they go back on the third day. They go up to the dog catcher. They say, we've got our $3. No, they have $2.70.
That's right.
They're missing 30 cents.
Yeah.
And they're like, listen, I will get you the 30 cents, but please, we're here now. Please let us have the dog. And he's like, hey, it doesn't matter anyway. You're too late. The dog's gone. And they're like, well, what do you mean the dog's gone? I shot the dog this morning. Like, and you think maybe he's lying. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is his way of just like, this is why you kids should behave, blah, blah, blah. Sookie starts crying, and you're like, oh no. And then Lil Skippy starts giving his little speech of like, well, why? What did you do that for? And Skippy starts crying, and then you start crying, and you're like, what am I supposed to tell the kid that I'm watching this on Saturday morning? They kill this dog in this movie. It takes such a turn, and it is so dark.
Yeah, it's, I guess the real takeaway here is just you got to be careful with your actions because, like, ultimately that's what it comes down to. Like, Skippy, the whole reason that the dog was lost is because Skippy kind of loosened the harness of the rope around the dog, and he got out. So Skippy feels semi-responsible, but up until that point, it really was more like, forget it, kid. We'll get the dog back. We always do. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You don't feel any sense of responsibility for this. And that's when you kind of start seeing the turn in the character of like, oh God, I'm responsible for this, aren't I? Like this happened because of me, which is like one thing. But the other thing is like, that's just such a harsh truth that I don't think it needed to be that. It didn't have to be like, hey, I just shot the dog. Like,
right.
Sorry. And you don't even feel a lot of remorse from the guy either, of just like, hey,
oh no,
like, sorry, kid, a day's a day. Like, I gotta do my job. It's just more like, well, you shouldn't have broke my windshield, kid. Like, you're a jerk.
He's the worst.
Right.
He's one of the most just like straight up evil characters we've dealt with on the show so far.
Right. Which is just, again, such a a tonal shift from what has happened previously.
Yeah.
Because you expect like the adults, even when they have to kind of like do what they need to do and be adults, you anticipate that being like a little bit more adjustable to Skippy standards of like that little bit of remorse of like, I'm sorry, kid, but like it's my job. And like the deadline came up and I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
And you don't even have the money right now, so I got to go do this right now. There was no like that little bit of like, understanding. It was just it was the best part of my morning, getting to go do that.
Yeah.
Which is terrible.
Awful.
But it does lead to that, what I think kind of solidifies that nomination for Jackie Cooper.
Sure.
And specifically, like, the way he commands the screen, for sure. But how emotional he got was very, very... I mean, it's emotional for us to watch. So he did a great job. I mean, he is a very good crier.
He is. And this is what's so crazy about this movie. I think that his whole performance up to this point was deserving of the Oscar nomination.
Sure.
We've talked so much about the way he carries himself and the way he portrays himself as someone much older and much more mature than he is. And that's fantastic. That's so impressive. I would be impressed today. I mean, I am. It's today, and I'm impressed. But, with a modern actor, when he does have to portray these emotions, this is where the controversy shows up.
I mean, I think even like on screen, the controversy is there of like how this scene kind of makes its way into this movie.
Sure.
But you're right. There's some off-screen stuff that happened too.
Absolutely. Pretty much for the rest of this movie, Skippy's depressed. Skippy is so upset by this, and the tone of the entire film changes. It is just sad all around. And Skippy spends a lot of this time crying. Norman Taurog, the director here, nominated and won the Oscar for Best Director.
We'll get there.
Norman Taurog, he's his uncle, right?
He is Jackie Cooper's uncle.
Yes, so Norman Taurog is Jackie Cooper's uncle. Coincidence, nepotism, I don't know. But in order to get Jackie Cooper to cry for this film, he threatened to take his dog and kill him.
Not only did he threaten him, he actually simulated taking... he didn't do this. He asked one of his assistants to take the dog behind a truck and shoot the dog. And the assistant took the dog behind the truck. I think he used a blank, is what I read. So you still heard a gunshot.
Right.
But, didn't shoot the dog. And tricked Jackie Cooper into thinking, well, your dog is now dead.
Yeah.
And action.
Nominated for Best Actor, Jackie Cooper.
There's a big asterisk next to his name on this. And, it is a great scene. And, I think even without the crying scene, the nomination makes a bit of sense. Because, again, it's like Joe Pesci is in this kid.
Yeah.
But, what?
It's insane. And it's interesting, the day that we're recording this, we're talking about Skippy, but we'll also be talking about Trader Horn, which also has some... hang on a minute. What is production doing here?
I think that's a better name for Trader Horn.
What is production doing here?
Hey, wait a minute. What is production doing here?
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, we just mentioned the tomato scene. Yeah. It's like, wow, they really pelted this kid with a tomato. Even there's a moment where Skippy jumps out of the window to go outside, and it's a one-story window, but it is 4 feet off the ground, and he kind of lands on his knees.
It feels more like a Prison Break scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a moment you're like, oh, wow, they're just doing it. These kids are just doing it.
Yep.
The scene that you didn't see that I laughed so hard at the end of this movie, as you're watching it, you're like, how did they do that? Because that kid needs to go to the hospital. You take all of that, and then you take what Norman Taurog did to get that reaction from Jackie Cooper, and it's just like, what are we doing? What a window into the past of how things were handled. And you hear about it a lot, how Hollywood would treat, especially actresses. Mm-hmm. You had to be a certain weight, you had to do this, you had to behave a certain way. They were prisoners to the studio system. This is the first time we get a look at that being done to children. It's crazy. It's wild.
And, I think one of the things that you can hear a defense for, at least Norman Taurog would first say, is well, hey, that's my brother's kid. That's my sister's kid. We're close. I know what's going to set him off the edge. It's a little different. I'm going to say not by much. Because you're when you hire on this kid, you are no longer uncle and nephew. This is director and actor.
Yes. And business.
And all business. And you have crossed the line at that point. And it's tough because I think this is one of those scenarios that the question is like, is this looking at it from a 2026 standard? Was that more, I really struggle to use this word, commonplace or expected back then, with something like Traderhorn that we'll talk about in a couple days here. That does kind of seem to be a bit more of a standard than you would want to see, but it doesn't feel good regardless. So kind of a black cloud over this movie a 100%. Little bit, which is strange because you take the 5 minutes of scenes in this movie that really are more like depressing, and this is just Little Rascals. So like, what's going on to where this feels A, Oscar nominated, B, such a black cloud hanging over this thing?
It's so wild. It's such a fun, goofy movie, and then this happens. And I just read further into it. He was so hysterical after this that he needed to be sedated, which is just another thing that's like, what are you guys doing to this kid? Jackie Cooper wrote an autobiography in 1982. Did you see that?
I did, and I can't tell you the name of the book. I'm really excited for you to say it. But I do remember it being so funny because some people are like, well, hey, I wrote this book about this terrible thing that happened to me, and it's called like In the Thumbprint of a Shadow.
Right.
It's something metaphorical.
Yes.
What was the name of his book?
Please don't shoot my dog. It's rough, man.
Homie.
Like, and we laugh at the absurdity of it. Because it's I mean, it's not absurd for him, but it is like, clearly this was traumatic.
For sure, absolutely.
And it's just insane that this ever took place. I think anybody that goes back and watches this movie for like the historical value, they will have the same reaction. They'll love this movie. If they do any type of research of, oh, interesting, what was up with Jackie Cooper? And they see that, the same reaction. Just, what?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a very serious issue, and it's a very serious thing that happened to him. And I understand how much that's going to weigh with you as you move on in life. I'm just saying that a title like Child Acting in Hollywood in the 1930s, or, The Corrupt Nature of Hollywood, something would have been a little bit better than Please Don't Shoot My Dog.
But you know what? Everybody knows now.
Everybody knows
exactly what it was.
So that's that.
It also talks about his affair with Joan Crawford. So,
ooh,
I mean, if you do read it, there's more in it than just the dog thing.
Do you think that was ever like so Jackie, tell me a little about yourself? Well, I thought my dog died for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I thought my uncle hired a guy to shoot my dog behind a truck.
I wonder if that was like a reoccurring nightmare for it. It's must
even
have been
better.
So
what
serious.
If he was like, yeah, we've all been there, right? Your uncle's tricked you into thinking that he shot your dog to get a performance out of you, right? That's happened to you, Joan?
I just watched an episode of Friends where all the guys are opening up about their personal lives. And Chandler says something like, yeah, and when you have a dream and you're with a woman, but then the woman turns into your mom, and Ross is just staring at him and he's like, you don't know. And that's what I imagine Jackie Cooper was doing to Joan Crawford.
For sure. And how much game you have to have for that affair to still happen after that.
That's true.
Who's to say? It's so weird. And you don't want to say that something like that weighs over your opinion of the rest of the movie. And I think it doesn't. I think my opinion of the movie stands on its own. It just, again, has that very large parentheses around everything. Of like, hey, this isn't exactly what you think it is. But, I mean, him having to be sedated is crazy.
It is. I think the thing that bothers me the most is, from an entertainment standpoint, the shift is crazy. You're having so much fun with this movie, and then that happens, and you're like, it just takes the wind out of your sails completely. And then when you pull back and you really think about it, I think the thing that really bothers me is Jackie Cooper was nominated, but Norman Torog won the Oscar. And it's just like, I don't really love that.
No, because it does feel like, well, what happened to you wasn't great, but the guy who did it, pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Especially when like you look at something like the scale and scope of Cimarron and even the scale and scope of something like Traderhorn. You look at something like the scope of Cimarron and even the scale and scope of Traderhorn. And you can kind of understand why director would be in place there. Even Eastland with the melodramatic nature or the more frantic nature of the front page and also Lewis Milestone's history with the Oscars. And you can make a case for director there. I'm not trying to say that the direction isn't good in Skippy, but Skippy is such a different movie to where director doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So it does feel like kind of I don't want to say the wrong win, but the wrong lesson is taken from that win.
Totally.
Unfortunately.
It's interesting, too. Norman Torog, like we said, he won the Academy Award for Best Director for this at the age of 32, and he was the youngest person to win the Best Director award.
The records keep coming.
For 8.5 decades. That's since been broken, I believe, by Damien Chazelle.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. But
it's actually kind of nice with how much he loves Seventh Heaven and his older films that he's kind of doing a little rewriting of the wrongs back then.
Yeah. Man, when is Chazelle coming out with his next movie? I'm waiting. It's been a while.
It is a prison break film.
Oh, really?
And it's being filmed right now, so I think it's 2027 of release.
I'm ready. I love Chazelle.
Yeah, I'm a very big fan of what I've seen. Loved La La Land, loved Whiplash. I enjoyed First Man.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to go watch Babylon like we've talked about.
Love Babylon. Love it. But back to Skippy. So the part you missed. Now, where did this cut off for you?
Yeah, so what ends up happening is after all this happens, obviously we see Skippy in a depressive state. He's just not himself. His mom's worried, talks to his dad, and his dad has like the most serious look in his life. And he's like, my appointments can wait. I have to go.
Right.
And he leaves, and you don't know what happens for that scene. But then Skippy wakes up the next day, and he goes outside, and he finds a bike waiting outside for him. And he's like, great, okay, cool, I guess I have a bike now. Awesome. And he just leaves with his bike. And he runs into Eloise, which, of course, 5 seconds before she's on screen because she's yodeling. And she shows up with a dog. And he's like, say, where'd you get this dog? And she's like, I just got him. He's like, cool.
I just got him.
And she may have explained a little bit more, but the gist of it was, well, I don't know, found him. So Skippy is taken because this dog looks similar to Suki's dog.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, hey, why don't I make a trade with you? Why don't you give me that dog and I'll give you my bike? And she's like, gee whiz, you mean it? That bike? No problem. Gives him the bike, and he takes the dog and he leaves. And then he goes over to Suki's house. And I'm like, I mean, I get it. I understand that he's like, I'm going to do what's right to make this okay.
Yeah.
But I'm sure his parents are like, I just paid for that bike. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Where did your money go? Like, what's
that was
going on?
$6.
Yeah. Allegedly, maybe 3.
Who knows?
Who's to say? But also, his dad has an earlier scene where he kind of like explains away any reason you'd be like, oh, well, I mean, it's a lot of money, right? His dad's like, nah, when you look at how much this bathroom remodel cost,
right?
It's like 1,000 bikes. And he's like, okay, cool. So in my eyes, I'm like, yeah, I mean, you just walked out and basically threw your wallet at a guy and said, just give me a bike.
Yeah.
Anyways. So Skippy then rushes over to Suki's house to try and show this dog, like, hey, I got a dog. He even has like a presentation. He's like, okay, you sit in this wagon. I'm going to tie you up here. I'm going to wheel you over. It's going to be great. And he goes over to Suki and he's like, hey, why are you so sad? She's like, I'm not. Check out my dog. And she just has another dog that was brought to her. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. I just came to say hey for no reason. And the other dog's barking across the corner. And she's like, what's going on? He's like, okay, well, I got you this dog. And that's where it ended for me.
Now, before I tell you what happens after that, I do want to point out, in no way do I support the dog catcher. I think he's a awful, wicked person.
I don't think anything has come across here where we're like, yeah, that guy made the right decision.
Right. I will say, this town has a dog problem. Because overnight, every child found a dog.
Santa dog. Santa Paws.
Oh,
Santa Paws.
There you go.
Of course. Came out and just gave a dog to everyone.
I'm glad you said Santa Paws.
Is that what ended up happening at the end? Was that his dad just gave a dog to every kid in town?
No. No.
That'd have been good.
I love the ending of this movie. So, the movie cut off for you. You never saw the ending. I'm so sad. Okay. They say, oh, we've got the dog, whatever. Eventually, Skippy's dad shows back up. He's taking the day off work because he's like, my son is sad. I must spend time with him. Which really makes me curious about the dynamic of the comic. If it is like a comedy strip mixed with like some of the most traumatic elements of a child's life, and then me and my dad kind of story.
Well, it's also worth noting that his dad left the night before.
Yeah, where'd he go?
Yeah, that's why I was like, did he just like go out and was like, okay, here's a bike and also here's a dog to this kid that I've never met in my entire life? Assumingly, that's what I assumed, is that like Suki now has a dog because his dad was like, by the way.
Oh, I do like the idea that he doesn't know who Skippy's friend is.
Yes.
So he did give Suki a dog, Eloise a dog.
Yeah.
I see what we're doing now.
He's like,
I like that.
Everyone gets a dog.
Yeah,
I don't
whatever.
know, man.
I don't know. What are they, $3? Who cares?
Yeah. But that's overnight. And then the next morning, so to your point of like, I got to spend the day with my kid. Not even. Like, he's like, I got to go like do some hijinks.
Yeah.
So then tomorrow I can spend the day with my kid, assumingly. But again, go ahead.
So he meets up with Suki and Skippy, and they're, again, near the dog catcher's place for some reason, which I just
on the
would
other
never
side
go.
of town?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would never go over there again. I don't know. But the moment where the windshield broke earlier in the film, it's because they were throwing rocks.
Yeah.
Skippy's dad, wanting to be part of the gang, hello, fellow young kids, grabs a rock, and he's like, I'll show you how to throw a rock. Tosses it, breaks the dog catcher's window. And he's like, oh, no. All right, no worry. The kids go to run, and he's like, no. Like, we've got to be adults about this. And the dog catcher comes outside with his bratty little kid. And, of course, he's like, oh, I should have known it was you, Skippy's dad.
Doctor.
Yeah, I've never liked you anyway. And Skippy's dad tries to talk him through it. He's like, listen, I'll pay you. I've got $3 like nobody's business. We'll be fine.
I have so many different versions of $3 in my pocket.
Yes. And Skippy gets mad at the other kid and kind of pushes him down. And the dog catcher's like, hey, don't do that to my kid. And he goes to reach for Skippy. There's a little scuffle, and ultimately Skippy's dad doesn't knock him out, but he gives him a real shiner.
Yeah.
And puts him in his place. And the look on Skippy and Suki's face is just like, wow, look at my dad, just a hero. That's what I'm going to do now for the rest of my life when somebody bothers me. I'm going to punch him in the mouth. And you're like, okay, yay.
We're taking the wrong lessons from this movie.
Then.
Oh, no.
You hear a bicycle bell. Ring, ring.
Oh. Well, if that's the first thing you hear, then I know it's not who I think it is.
It's not. It is, I believe, Sydney. Okay. It's one of the boys, one of the really annoying boys that's like, ha, ha.
Yeah.
And everybody turns. Oh, no. Suki, Skippy, Skippy's dad all turn and they look. And it is a tracking shot of this kid riding his bike, waving at Skippy just like, ha, I've got your bike, slams into a telephone pole. Like, flips over the handlebar. Dude, I have it recorded. Actually, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this on air right now.
I'm gonna show it to me, or are you giving me your phone?
I'm gonna show it to you. It's, my goodness. Hold for dramatic effect, please, audience. This killed me.
All right, so let it be known that Kyle is handing me his phone so I can watch this scene from the end of Skippy. Before I press play, how much longer is left in this movie once the scene happens?
45 seconds.
This is like the end of the movie. 45 seconds left. Okay, here we go. Oh my god.
It's
Hold
so
on.
good.
Audience, just... This kid landed on his head.
He lands on his head. Oh my god.
Oh, no way. Okay, so Sydney lands on his head. He crashes into a telephone pole. Shades of Hereditary.
I rewatched that so many times.
Well, it's so perfect from a sound design perspective of the ha-ha Dr. Scanner and then hitting a pole and falling over.
God.
You know what it is? It feels like Wayne's World.
Oh,
where
what's her name? Stacy?
Yeah, when she's like, "Hi, Wayne, hi," and then hits a car.
God. But this is so much funnier because it's a kid.
It is a kid.
And we already know that they are taking no safety precautions.
Right, and it's not even the type of like shot where you see him hit a pole and then there's another shot of him flying overhead of the camera to where you're like, okay, they did a stunt or something.
Nope.
No, this kid just crashed into a pole and fell forward.
Oh my God.
But onto gravel, it looks like.
Yes.
It wasn't just like onto like grass.
Yeah, he later wrote an autobiography called
Please Don't Make Me Hit a Pole and Skin My Face into the Gravel.
The autobiography is called Damn That Hurt. So funny. The remaining 45 seconds, Skippy's dad says, I guess we need to get you a new bike.
Sir, you're a doctor.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. The end.
This kid is injured. You're a doctor. The Hippocratic Oath is in place. You need to go make sure he's okay.
Maybe he's a dentist.
Oh,
I don't know.
They never said that, did they? Well, he probably cracked a tooth. He landed on his face.
Maybe. I don't know. Tune in for next week's episode, I guess.
This is a crazy movie. It's actually kind of fitting that we're talking about this movie and Traderhorn on the same day. And we'll get there, audience. Just wait a few more days and we'll talk about Traderhorn. But this is a bonkers production across the board. This movie in general, like maybe this lends itself to like the idea of this movie being nominated, but it just feels so out of left field for the Oscars.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's funny, we talked about it being like a comic strip movie. An interesting parallel there with Jackie Cooper is he later went on to star in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
Oh, did he?
He did. He played, I always forget the character's name, Perry White. The head of the newspaper.
Oh, the Daily Planet, yeah.
Yes. So, and he was in that for all of them. So, you know, this wouldn't be a fun fact back in like 1970 whatever, but he is kind of like a comic book movie kind of guy, which is bizarre.
Interesting. And you said that was Jackie Cooper?
Yeah, Jackie Cooper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. At first, I thought I was thinking his dad. And I was like, well, I mean, maybe he did such a horrible job of protecting the youth that they're like, you need to go into reporting or something less into the public eye.
Right.
Yeah, man, this is weird. I mean, this is just such a bonkers movie to be nominated back then. I do rock with it a little bit because it is like ultimately you can laugh about it a little bit. You can't really laugh about what Jackie Cooper went through behind the scenes on this. I will find a time in life where I can't laugh about that kid hitting that pole and just like falling forward.
It is not this day.
It's not this day. I don't know when it will be. But it's such a, I don't want to use the word cursed on that, but it is just like a weird shadow over this movie.
100%. It's a bizarre movie, but I like this movie. I think it's genuinely funny. I think that Jackie Cooper's performance alone is enough to warrant watching it. And I don't know. I feel like I would watch it again. I think that dog plot point is just so heavy, and it makes zero sense in this movie.
It does.
But
especially the way it's played.
Yeah. But beyond that, like, I have a good time every time I've watched this now.
I can't disagree with you. I mean, I didn't have a bad time watching this. It really was just more like me looking around being like, what are we doing? Like, how is this Oscar research watching this movie?
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, very cool that this slid in 1931 as, you know, one of the weirder movies that we've seen nominated for an Oscar. Even to this day, I think it's one of the weirder ones that I can recall.
Yeah.
But obviously, we're going to be watching many, many more movies in the future.
Totally.
So this could be knocked out from that.
So with all that being said, what would you rate this?
I will tell you what I did rate it. So I rated it 2.5 stars.
Okay.
I probably will remember this a little more fondly than when I first watched it, especially having a little more idea of how it actually ends, and not that it's much better than where I left off. I mean, it kind of ends about the same, except the dad's a little more like, man. I know.
I don't know, because that bicycle scene sent me.
I wonder now when we watch stuff like Hereditary or Wayne's World, it's like, where'd you get it? Because I think I know where it started. Yeah, it's not that the Hereditary scene is funny. I will probably look back on this a little more fondly, but 2.5 stars sounds about right. I know that's not terribly far off from where you are.
No, I gave this 3 stars.
Yeah.
I've already said, I like this movie. It gets dark and weird to a point, but overall, I like this movie.
If I can be so bold and read your review. There are a handful of moments in this that made me cackle. This would be such a fun movie to get kids into classic film, if not for the extremely traumatic event that comes out of nowhere! !
Yeah.
I agree.
I stand by that.
I think you're right. I think that's absolutely right. Crazy traumatic events that end up happening in this movie. Some that are hilarious and others that are extremely doomed.
God, I laugh so hard. Wait, real quick before we get into our double feature.
I wonder if we can get away with posting that clip.
Oh, I'm posting it. If it gets copywritten, I'm going to be like, I don't care.
Worth it.
I'll appeal it left and right. Before we do our double feature, I do want to point out, because we didn't dive into it too much, Joseph L. Mankiewicz, brother of Herman Mankiewicz. Of course, highly involved with Citizen Kane, one of the greatest films of all time. But Joseph Mankiewicz will show up again, and he's also just this highly prestigious director. He wrote All About Eve, which we'll be talking about on the podcast. And I think that'll give us more of an opportunity to really dive into his history and his work. It's going to be a couple years before we do that. But I don't know that Skippy was the moment for us to be like, boy, that Mankiewicz, huh?
That Mankiewicz name's going to mean something later on.
Yeah. Although he did write the anxious and high-strung line, so...
well, that explains that a bit.
Yeah.
We'll also give it a few more years, but we'll be talking about Mankiewicz in another way with David Fincher's Mank.
We will. You want to get into double feature?
Yeah, let's talk about our double features. So, look, I wrote one down, and we've already kind of talked about it. It's not very inspired. But I do want to say that I would love if we could have compared this to Marty Supreme or Uncut Gems, because that's kind of what this movie turns into a little bit.
Especially Marty Supreme.
Especially Marty Supreme with the dog.
A lot of dog stuff.
Yeah. Thankfully, the dog fares a bit better in Marty Supreme than...
Which is wild.
Yeah, crazy that Skippy has the more dire turn for a dog than Marty Supreme. But I went with the 1993 Nick Castle film, Dennis the Menace.
Okay,
This is the one with Walter Matthau, as well as, Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, yeah.
He is the villain, right? He's the guy eating beans who terrorizes Dennis. I'm mostly saying this because the events that Dennis finds himself in feel very similar to Skippy, but with a little bit more of a childlike lens behind it. Home Alone is a similar one where, I mean, if you think about it, ultimately we're talking about two men who likely could kill this child.
Right.
Breaking into his house, and he's just more like, nah, this is my movie, so I'm going to do it my way. Mm-hmm. Skippy is a little bit more like, this is the world they live in, and kids just happen to talk to adults like this. It's not really his like perspective, it's just the movie's perspective. Dennis the Menace, it is a little bit more from Dennis's perspective. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a shift there, but I did really like the balance between like the stuff that Skippy got into and how it felt like something like Dennis the Menace. Yeah. Also, obviously, can't avoid it being, or can't ignore it being, both films being based on a comic strip.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And that little slice of life, like in a simpler time in life of the earlier periods in time. So I'd go with Dennis the Menace, but I do want to throw out there that the Safdies could have made Skippy, and you would have noticed.
Would have been a bizarre movie.
Not too different.
No. I went with also another film starring a child actor. Not as like slapstick comedy based, but I think this is an opportunity to really showcase an actor that just, they're incredible. And they're having a comeback now, which has been great watching that. I went with the 1998 Nancy Meyers film, The Parent Trap.
Great.
Yeah. So this tonal shift, I think, from Skippy and Dennis the Menace and things.
Severely.
But it is still a comedy, and it allows Lindsay Lohan to really shine, playing two different roles. She's fantastic in this movie. It's a lot of fun. Just kind of a different type of comedy is all.
There's a lot of great behind the scenes for The Parent Trap. It's a stare classic. Like, it's even before I met Taylor, it was something I watched all the time. One of her favorite movies. The score is unreal. We're huge Nancy Meyers heads. But if you look at behind the scenes, there's some cool little things that Lindsay Lohan did for both characters, where Hallie and Annie, they have different nails. Oh. So you'll like notice like different nail styles on her from like one character to another. There's just very like almost like things where you're like, yeah, of course, but like you just never really caught it before. Yeah. Very big fan of that.
That's so funny.
But the hijinks that they get into that movie are very similar to like something in Skippy. But again, I think the reason that those movies are more successful than Skippy to me is that they build the world into those events, or the events into that world. Yeah. And this feels more like, what are the rules of this world?
Yes, there is kind of a fantastical element to those.
To both Dennis the Menace and The Parent Trap, to where you're kind of embracing it. And something dark like our parents split up and we then trick them into thinking we're each other isn't a dark thing. It's more fun and whimsical. Mm-hmm. Whereas in this, they're like, yeah, I killed your dog. Yes. There's not like a, uh-oh. It's just more like, what do you mean you killed the dog?
Exactly. On screen and off.
Correct. Oh, God. Well, thankfully.
Crazy. Yeah.
Dog fared better in real life.
Please don't shoot my dog.
Subtlety is
it's
key
insane
here, friends.
Hey, I love that The Parent Trap could also be a great double feature for Sinners.
It could.
It's wild.
So could Dennis the Menace.
Well, I was going for the twin thing.
Well, I just meant Chris Elliott. Is that right? No, not Chris Elliott. Oh my God. Christopher Lloyd. Blah.
Oh.
Christopher Lloyd's character could definitely fit into Sinners somewhere.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's the connective tissue there.
Although Walter Matthau in that movie would have been great. Him as Slim.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He'd be great. Stick out, but he'd be great.
This is true. So that's it for Skippy. Super interesting movie. Hopefully you guys watched this one, because I think it might be the most digestible of the 5 films this year, just because it's kind of silly, goofy fun.
I think you're right. Like, if you are watching a movie, it's very digestible. But compared to the other Oscar movies and what we think are Oscar movies,
right,
it feels very different.
Yeah.
So digestible is most digestible is a strange title for it. But you're right in terms of, like, watching it on like a Saturday, Sunday, like, it is extremely digestible.
Yeah, this is cereal in the morning. Just let me throw something on and have a good time. So
for most of it.
Yeah, until you're like spelling things in your alphabets, like help me, because you're about to write an autobiography with a crazy title. But if you did watch Skippy and you have any thoughts about it or the behind the scenes, let us know. Shoot us an email at outagaopodcast@gmail.com. Check out the Patreon if you want to support the show financially and you want to gain cool perks like movie reviews. You started doing that. I love that title.
Thank you.
Ryan goes and sees a bunch of movies in theaters that we don't cover on the show, and this gives him an outlet to write reviews and share his thoughts on those movies. That's been great. And then, of course, we have the community Discord. We do watch parties. Lots of fun stuff over on the Patreon if you want to check that out. Patreon.com/OUTAO podcast. Make sure you rate and review the show. Give us 5 stars. That helps us find new listeners. And next episode, we'll be covering another movie just littered with controversy behind the scenes. Trader Horn. I do want to start saying what we're covering next and where you can find it.
Yes.
This one is available on YouTube. Feel free to check it out. If you skip it and just want to hear the down and dirty next episode, I would not hold that against you.
Don't blame you at all.
This is a warning, there is some like real animal violence in this.
Yeah, we will get into it specifically, but fair warning, pretty difficult movie to watch.
Yes.
Programming note, on Friday, March 27th, we will be playing another one of our movie nights and having a 1931 film that was not nominated for the Oscars.
Yeah. So
we did put a poll up for that. Hopefully you've joined, and you'll never believe that we ended up picking. Isn't that crazy?
I'm super excited for it. I kind of like the idea of playing a movie that wasn't nominated so that we can talk about something that was, if not snubbed, just very popular, that was completely overlooked by the Academy. And it gives us a chance to talk about a movie we wouldn't normally get to talk about.
Well, and also another big part of this is the history of like how things have evolved over time.
Yeah.
Sound, I was about to say the same thing. Audio, visual, how these things progressed. So covering 1927 to now 1931, it'll be fun to kind of talk about like where we are in 1931 from that.
Yeah.
So, but we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And you can catch that on, is that going to be on Discord or Patreon?
It'll be on Discord, which you will gain access via the Patreon.
Perfect. So on Discord, you'll be able to watch that. Make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the Patreon to get access to that and many other movie nights to come.
Absolutely. Until next time, I'm your host, Kyle.
And I just hit a poll.
And we'll see you at the movies.